Step 3 are the group discussions. So after you adapt your tools and you identify the major players and actors, so then it's really about implementing the interconnected series of questions that you have now written in cards, and you run those group discussions. And once you're running group discussions, we need to pay attention to a series of issues. I mean, it's very important that people are relaxed, that people are sitting down in an inclusive manner, so that people can express their opinions and their views openly. It's important for the facilitator to try to bring the different people in to the discussion. So if you realize that somebody is not speaking very much, then maybe slowly try to bring this person into the discussion and understand why this person has not been interacting that much. Sometimes there is an issue that needs to be addressed. So it's really about being inclusive in the process of facilitating the discussions, trying to avoid as much as possible, of course, leading questions that will bring people to speak what you might think they should be speaking out. And I think it's also very important not to focus the discussions in some sort of consensus. So when you're exploring the different questions, try to raise the differences in opinions. And that will be fundamental for the richness of the analysis. Because if you try to bring everything into some sort of consensus, you will be avoiding some discussions and some important conflicts that sometimes needs to be addressed. And this is a very important opportunity for some of those conflicts, maybe not for necessary for that particular research or participatory design, but maybe more importantly for the people engaged into that discussion. So as you go through the questions, so you put into a wall or something that you might find useful to pin it up, and it's very important to do that as integrated to the different locations that you run this group discussion. If it's inside a little house, for example, you can use the wall and put some stickers into the wall as you are asking the questions and you're making the links. Or maybe you want to use a tree, which has been done before. You try to use a tree as the series of questions are moving upwards, and you make them interconnected. So try to use the local environment as much as possible. And you pose one question and you put the question into your wall, and then the issues that are brought up, write them in little stickers and you put next to it, making sure that you start illustrating the discussion visually in your wall, and then make the connection with your linkages that you developed before, and you go through the questions, bringing up the issues, the threats. Maybe you want to bring different color cards for the threats and for the opportunities, so that these issues also become very, very, very visual. And that is the final stage of this group discussion, is to look at this wall full of the cards, linkages, notes, red and green, opportunities and threats, and ask the participants, so what can we do to move through this web in a way that is transformative in a lasting sense, in a meaningful sense, so that people can enhance their ability to acquire housing rights. Step 4 is the analysis. That's when we analyze and we build on the findings generated by the group discussions, and we can generate strategies and actions. But the way in which we're going to generate those strategies and actions is crucial. That's where we divide this step into two major stages. The first stage is when we collate this information more internally. We take the notes, maybe pictures, and all the different reflections that were developed during the group discussions and with the different actors in the different institutions, and we compare them, maybe put them into a wall, and then we can look at the synergies and the main blockages, because very often we realize that there are a lot of commonalities after we analyze the perception of housing rights from the different actors. Maybe there are a lot of common elements, and there are a lot of synergies that we didn't expect that could be built from. And also from there, we would also be able to identify major obstacles and challenges. After we do that, we can bring this information to a negotiation exercise where we bring all those different actors together, and we can, in a first part of this exercise, disseminate the major findings to share with those different actors how they actually had similarities and of course these differences, and bring that to the table and ask them how can we move forward, what are based on some synergies, in some levels of coalition, how can we build those coalitions in a way that we can move forward to improve access to housing rights in the city. So this is really the final and most important stage of the web, that is making the roots, is about weaving the net, is about being the little spider going through the net and weaving the relationships between those different actors to strengthen the potentialities that have been developed, that existing so far, and so that we can overcome the obstacles that exist in that specific context. A very good strategy to facilitate this process of weaving the web is actually having a very specific issue to discuss, in which we can bring these different actors around the table. And in the case of our engagement with MSTB in Salvador, for example, we were discussing about the different types of the typologies and layout of the housing kind of housing projects in the occupation of SCADA. And because we were discussing this particular a very physical issue, such as the typology and the housing design, we were able to bring around the table those different actors, such as the architects and engineers that were subcontracted by the government to generate those plans. We had also government officials. We had members of the MSTB, one of the leaders of the MSTB. We had also leaders of the neighborhood organization, and we had also residents, and we had the ASF members that were facilitating that meeting. And all those different actors, by being around the table and discussing a specific and very a physical issue, actually allowed them to share some preoccupations, to share also some motivations, which allowed bonds to be established. So it's by weaving, by developing these relationships, that transformative practices can operate.